This is a Global Original Podcast. As you can hear from the echoey sound of my voice, I'm recording this from the room that Boris Johnson stores all the promises he's kept. There's nothing in here. Coming up, relaxing with a cocktail on public transport, and a very famous, unfamous person speaks. But first, the great thing about chips and the causes of chips.
Leading Britain's conversation, LBC, with Nick Abbott.
Who do you think you're talking to?
I'm talking to Jenny in South Woodford. Hello, Jenny. Is there anybody out there? I can hear breathing.
Hello?
An ecstasy of fumbling. Yes, Jenny.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Yeah, diesel engines. I hear a lot of negative things about.
Jenny, please speak directly into the phone.
I hear a lot of negative talk about diesel engines. I actually think they're really good because you can use biofuel, vegetable oil. They can run really well on vegetable oil.
Yeah, but every now and again I see a car that's belching so much thick black smoke. I wonder what it's running on. Is it that?
No, of course not. Not at all. No.
I feel stupid for even saying it, Jenny.
No, you might smell donuts or chips or something, but it's just certainly never no black smoke at all. I mean,
Are you sure?
I ran my minibus for years on it, and it ran better on the biofuel than it did on the actual diesel. It was cleaner. So yeah, I mean, it's just It's
now, when you say cleaner, do you know that for a fact, or how do you mean cleaner?
Well, it's recycled vegetable fats.
Yeah, but if you get a chip fire, then you don't want to stick around and breathe the fumes in, do you?
It's better than diesel. It was carcinogens, isn't it?
But you don't know that, though. I mean, you're just making it up, right?
Of course I'm not making it up.
Well, you are, though. I mean, what evidence do you have that there are no carcinogens in burning chip fat?
Well, it can't be as bad as all the...
But again, you're just making it up. The phrase,
No,
it
I'm
can't
not
be
making
as
it up.
bad, it just sounds as though you don't know what you're talking about, which means that normal service has been resumed on this programme.
No, listen. No, come on. There's no way that biofuel is worse than...
Again, you're making it up. You don't know. You don't know.
Yes, I do know.
Right, well, where's the evidence?
I have not... I don't have it to hand. So oh, come on. This is... I think it's great.
Well, the one thing is that...
in London where you can get it, and it's half the price. And,
is it?
Yeah, it's about 50p a litre.
And can you go the same distance on a litre of chip fat that you can on...
Absolutely,
really?
Absolutely. Honestly, my vans ran really well using that. And sometimes if I didn't have, one of those places to hand to buy the biodiesel, I'd go into a shop and buy 2 litres of vegetable oil. Or go behind a chip shop with my pillowcase and a strainer and put it into my tank.
Uh-huh. But does it still sound like a barge? The diesel engines, they sound terrible, don't they?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they're quite chuggy, aren't they?
Right.
But I mean, I just felt it was much better to run it on vegetable oil than diesel. So.
Well, the stuff.
I think all the public transport, all those buses and stuff could easily run on those on that stuff.
Well, there's some buses around that run on hydrogen, and they advertise that fact very proudly, and they're relatively quiet, relatively silent, because apart from the pollution that squirts out the back of a bus, the big problem with buses to me is that the sound that they make is just awful.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It is, but hydrogen. That's absolutely right. I mean, all cars could really run on water. There's no excuses for this pollution at all.
Well, the sooner that we do something about it, the sooner that we can reap the benefits of not having to breathe in thick black smoke.
Absolutely, we're going to go down and join the protest tomorrow.
Are you?
Me and my gang, yeah.
Where's it going to be tomorrow? Just so people know.
I don't know. I'm going to go to Oxford Circus.
You don't know?
I don't know. I'm presuming it's Oxford Circus.
But I thought they
Going to
cleared Oxford
London.
Circus away. Isn't it going to be in... aren't people being invited to go to Marble Arch?
Well, but that's the police inviting people to go to Marble Arch, aren't they?
Well, I
I'm
think
gonna
if you
look it up before we go.
show up at Oxford Circus, you just got people who are itching to go to Topshop or whatever the stores around there are. Go and buy a T-shirt that they'll never wear.
No, I won't be doing that.
Right.
No, I'll look it up before we go. But yeah,
Okay.
The more
Well,
the merrier.
make sure you're legal, decent, honest, and true, Jenny, at all times.
Of course.
Promise you you'll do that. All right.
I
Thanks a lot.
promise.
Okay. Cheers, Jenny. 0345 6060 973. Graham is worried about Diane Abbott. He says, if that moron Corbyn ever gets the keys to number 10, Abbott will be Home Secretary, God help us all. And here's the... Well, that's a little bit rude to say silly cow. Here's the silly cow breaking the law for all to see. Rude.
Be polite.
She was drinking a can of mojito on the tube or the train, whatever it was. Who cares? I mean, she wasn't slashing seats and she wasn't stabbing anybody. She was just drinking a can of drink. I mean, it can't have been that alcoholic. She bought it in a supermarket. It wasn't like neat booze. It was just a flavoured beverage. And she apologised. I think there was an element of sarcasm in that apology. I mean, unless I read that wrong, but it looked that way to me. Oh, I'm well, no, it wasn't. I'm so sorry.
I am very sorry that I screwed up.
I think the apology was genuine. It's just that she had to apologise for it. Seemed a little bit silly. Seemed a little bit silly to me. Wasn't doing anything wrong at all. I mean, on a long train journey, like to Brighton, for instance, like if you've got to sit in a train for 30 full minutes,
Boring.
then of course you need a libation on the way if you're having a day out by the beach. Want a little bit of booze before you get there? Give yourself a head start. It's the best way to start the day. And then you got some bloke in a peak cap coming over here telling us you can't drink. What sort of a country is this? Yes, it's exactly like living in Nazi Germany. Apart from not being like living in Nazi Germany at all. Coming up, you have to keep in mind that these clips are from spring 2019. When you hear what I say in the next segment, it's positively spooky. Mark says Diane Abbott was caught drinking a strong 8% alcoholic drink at 1 p.m. on a weekday when she's getting paid to do her job. It's also a criminal offence to drink alcohol on that train. Why are you sticking up for her? Oh, do me a favour. First of all, an 8% alcoholic drink is not strong. 8% alcohol is what most ordinary people put on their breakfast cereal. Are you kidding me? Plus, so what? The drink was tiny. Did you see the size of that can? It was a half-sized can. Minute. I mean, it's not like she was on there doing tequila slammers. A strong 8% alcohol drink at 1 p.m. on a weekday. Well, if I was in her position, I don't think I'd last till 1 p.m. I'd be forming a queue outside the store waiting for it to open up at 10 a.m. Please. People used to get absolutely hammered at lunchtime. Even people in important jobs, like pilots. They did. People used to take. They still do in France, which is probably why it's not working at the moment. They take long lunches and have alcohol. The police themselves used to hang around, and I think there was this big thing recently, and I saw it with my own eyeballs. The police hang around in sort of malevolent gangs in Paris. It's not like here, where you just don't see them here, but over there, there's sort of like 30 of them all hang around looking, like they're looking for trouble, which of course technically they are. And they drink booze. And I think the authorities said, well, maybe it's not a good idea for the police to stand around drinking booze at lunchtime anymore in public. And they were outraged by that. How did I get onto that? Oh, yeah, people used to have long, boozy lunches, and then they used to go back and write newspapers or do radio shows or all of the rest of it. It's called living in the 1980s. Never mind about the 70s and the 60s. In the 60s, people had 3 martini lunches. 2's not enough. 3's too much.
Affirmative.
Actually, 3's not too much. Maybe at lunch it's too much, but at the end of the day, no problemo. So I think Diane Abbott was being very conservative in drinking a very, very weak 8% alcoholic drink from a tiny, tiny can at 1 p.m. on a weekday. A criminal offence to drink alcohol on that train. So what? There's just so many stupid laws in this country preventing people from... that law came in because people were being out of control and rude. And there was nothing rude about Diane Abbott on that train. She was minding her own business and keeping herself to herself, having a little sip every now and again. Gary, once from Belfast, but now living on my mate's estate around Strangford Lough, outside Belfast, says... That's way too much information, Gary. Nobody cares. Particularly me. He says, Nick, I live in a totally independent, neutral-fueled house. I have 20 solar wind panels, a wind turbine, and I get propagating water for my veg from rain butts. Rain butts?
Disgusting.
Couldn't you call them something else? He says, of course I have to go up to my mate's house to get clean drinking water and bathe in the local river without soap. Great in the summer, but seriously hampering in winter, through which I stink a lot. I feel sorry for the rabbits that I shoot, but I can happily break a chicken's neck. I wish everyone could live my life. It's fantastic. Poor little chooks. He says, what we do know is that the price of vegetable oil went up dramatically about 5 years ago because everyone was buying it to power their old-fashioned diesel cars. Well, the bit at the end made sense. I'm not sure about anything that went before. And this anonymous texter or messenger of some sort says, with the high rate at how the planet's population reproduces, whatever's done to do with ecology will never be enough. A possible 100 years left, if that, until it's all done and dusted. If that's a strange theory, then it's suitable, I think, to this show. Did any of that make sense?
No.
Well, I don't know, every other word. In other words, there's too many people. If people would just stop interfering with each other...
Disgusting.
Awful. All of that fiddling about.
Dreadful.
Just stop having interpersonal relations with each other. But the problem with that is the inverted pyramid idea, which I explained falteringly yesterday. Unfortunately, we can't reduce the number of births because there will be too many old people. There already are going to be too many old people because there's not enough young people being born. This country is not producing enough babies, if you can believe that. I mean, you might think that this country is absolutely chock full of babies of all ages, but I mean actual babies. They're not producing enough, which is one of the reasons why we need a certain amount of immigration, because otherwise this country is going to be chock full of old whining people.
Stop whining.
Who aren't going to be cared for by anybody. There's not going to be enough economically active people to keep all of the old people in hemorrhoid cream and Synatogens. So restricting the number of births won't do it. What we actually need, the human race, the whole world over, is somebody to start a war.
I'll bring us into war.
Or there be a vast, like a virus that comes and takes huge numbers of us. But to reduce the amount of people slowly through restricting birth just doesn't work for the benefit of the old people that will still be left. I think you'll find that is also a correct fact. The stuff that I've been squeezing into this show, I am stunned, and I never want it to happen again. I can't believe that people are still going on about Diane Abbott. I mean, what difference does it make? She was sat in a tube, minding her own affairs. What was rude was that somebody took a picture of her. minding her own affairs in a public place. Oh. That thing happened again. That's really alarming. The button said be polite, and then I pressed it, and it changed at the moment that I pressed it to the right sound. It does that every now and again. This machine has a mind of its own.
Affirmative.
I think that it has, like in the Terminator, it has become self-aware.
Affirmative.
And once that happens, all bets are off. So I think it's started. Missiles have been launched. We'll be lucky to make it through the night. How about that virus thing, eh? Maybe I can see into the future, which would be handy, as I can barely remember the past. Coming up, an actor that you've never heard of, but you certainly know, gets the approval of a particular kind of audience.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
I'd like to punch him in the face. Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
Britain is going to be hit by a 70-mile-an-hour wind. Not just one, but many, 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 over and over and over again. 75-mile-an-hour winds coming in as Storm Hannah batters parts of the UK. And I sincerely hope that your part remains unbattered. Ireland will bear the main brunt of the storm, but southwest England and South Wales are also expected to be hit by gale-force winds and heavy rain. Glasgow will have its own weather. I'll check while you wait. That's very loud background noise. It's like I'm on board ship. It's supposed to be a silent studio. Never mind, I'm not complaining.
Stop whining.
All right, Glasgow. Raining tonight and raining tomorrow, and not raining on Sunday or Monday, but raining on Tuesday, and cloudy on Wednesday, and cloudy on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, and raining on Sunday, and cloudy on Monday and Tuesday, and raining on Wednesday. You won't be seeing the sun anytime soon, but then you don't like that, do you?
No.
The Met Office has issued a yellow weather warning.
Warning, warning.
There's going to be a lot of yellow about. And this is a warning for Devon and Cornwall and Dorset and Somerset and South Wales and parts of Hampshire and Sussex, wherever that is. And that warning is in place from right now. And it lasts until 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Officials have warned that there could be travel disruption and power cuts and flying debris around coastal areas. Surfers have been urged not to attempt to ride the 26-foot-high wave, known as the Cornish Cribber, which is due to reappear this weekend as it could prove fatal in such stormy conditions. And surfer dudes heard the words 26-foot wave and then missed the part about the death because they were so massively stoked.
Groovy.
That wave is totally tubular.
Yowza.
There's so many dudes going to try and surf that wave. There's Kaz and Corky and Laird and Geordie and Sonny and Ryder, but not Charlie. Charlie, don't surf. On the subject of conditions expected offshore, a Royal National Lifeboat Institution spokesperson said, swimming is not recommended and experienced surfers should avoid exposed beaches and only consider surfing at sheltered spots on the south coast with appropriate supervision.
Boring.
This is the first time the Met Office or its Irish partner Met Irian has had to name an April or May storm since the naming of storms began in 2015. Have they only been naming storms since 2015? Well, what did they call them before that? Hello? I just love the panicked expression on the person through the glass there. My glamorous assistant momentarily thought that I was demanding an answer. No. They only been naming them since 2015. I'm stunned. So before that, presumably there was just, it's that one. The one that occurred on the following date. I've got no idea. It's educational, this programme, isn't it?
No.
Only storms with significant expected impacts are named, and this one's called Hannah. Met Office forecaster Simon said, Storm Hannah is more like a storm seen in midwinter, not the second half of spring. And you know what? It's all thanks to global warming.
Thank you.
It was 25 degrees centigrade last weekend. 25 centigrade. I've got no idea what that is. Is it warm? Double it and add 32 to get proper temperature, and double the 25 is 60, and 60 and 32 is like, it's like 100? 100 degrees! Can you believe that?
No.
The Cornish cribber, that wave thing, arrives once every 18 months. It reaches a peak when the Atlantic Ocean surges coincide with the high spring tides to strike the North Cornwall beaches. Dom Moore, who runs the Surf Sanctuary Surf School in Headland Hotel in Newquay, said, "The cribber is the reef that runs under the water from Towan Headland. It's shallower than the surrounding sea, and when the right swell comes in, it breaks over the reef. Because you've got a relatively shallow reef surrounded by sand, there is a gradient underwater, and it's not uniform like the beach, so the waves peel off it rather than closing out." So that makes it clear, doesn't it?
Negative.
What the hell's he talking about? All right. I was going to say probably stoned, but I restrained myself from saying it.
Want to score some pot?
Now then. Last week, actor Emma you remember Emma Thompson?
Boo!
Yes, that's right. She came over here to share with us her opinion on climate change. And the Brexiteer types went absolutely puce with fury that a mere actress was sticking her nose in and telling them what she thought. How dare an actor tell us to take care of the planet? It's none of her business. And besides, what does she know? She just pretends for a living. She should go back to her little actor bubble and keep her stupid thespian opinions to herself. And anyway, she's not even that good at acting, what we're only winning an Academy Award for acting and another Academy Award for writing a screenplay and getting a Golden Globe for Best Actress and a Golden Globe for Best Screenplay and a BAFTA for acting and plenty of others besides. Anyone could win those. Just goes to show how rubbish she is. Fast forward a week, and another actor offered his opinion on something in the news, and the Brexiteer battalion couldn't have been more welcoming. Finally, someone with the public weight and gravitas of an actor is speaking his mind. Why did we have to wait so long for someone as respected as an actor to offer his opinion on Brexit? And an actor as well known as that bloke who played the garden gnome thing in Star Wars or Game of Thrones or Batman or something. And he's been garlanded with a full 2 awards. One a Screen Actors Guild and another a Critics Award. For a film that got so many awards showered down on it that the T-Boy probably got one. And while 2 awards might not be more than Emma Thompson has amassed, that's just a statistic, so we can safely ignore that because maths isn't a science. Blessed is the pursuit of acting. Actors should rule the world. Hollywood actor John Rhys Davies went on that Fiona Bruce show and accused MPs of betraying democracy by failing to deliver Brexit. And Brexiteer ultras had a patriot-gasm. The Mail puts it like this. In an extraordinary moment on the BBC's Question Time last night, Indiana Jones and Lord of the Rings actor, 74, Jonathan Rhys Davies, was given an ovation by the audience. An ovation! No, he wasn't. Not really. Unless a polite smattering of applause counts as an ovation these days. I looked it up, just in case I was getting it wrong. Definition of ovation: a sustained and enthusiastic show of appreciation from an audience, especially by means of applause. Well, some of them applauded for about 5 seconds, 6 at the outside. That's not an ovation. But top marks for the way in which he delivered those lines. They were so pretentious and full of drama, I thought he was going to bury his axe in some dragon's bonce at the end of it. Mr. Rhys Davies said, "You will damage democracy if you don't deliver Brexit." I had no idea I was going to do that. Wow, where did that come from? He said that in his life he'd never seen such a level of anger about MPs failing to deliver the result of the 2016 referendum. He said, "The mood of the people I've been talking to, and I don't mean hotheads or loose talk in the pub, I'm talking about considered grown-ups who work for a living." I can't keep that up. How does he manage it? the skill. He's a professional. He said, I'm not talking about just any old numpty. These are people who work for a living, he said, who think for a living and have to make economic decisions for themselves. Well, who doesn't? Who doesn't make economic decisions for themselves? You do that every time you go into the shop. Can I afford orange juice this week?
No.
No, you think. So I'm going to buy it anyway. It's my right. I can do what I want. He says, I've never seen such a level of anger. And that's odd, because last week, I've killed an actor's killed me. What was that? What is that? It's like somebody's trying to, maybe, wow, somebody's digging up from downstairs through the floor. I'm getting vibrations. I'm getting vibrations through my feet.
Groovy.
I think it's the Capital Radio people. Can you tell them to keep it down a bit? God. And stop talking in my ear. I know that a professional broadcaster doesn't mind that, but I'm not one, and I do. Mr. Rhys Davis said all of the above things. Don't make me repeat them, because my throat's bad enough as it is. Not that I'm complaining or anything.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
He says, I've never seen such a level of anger, which is, Odd the reception that he got from the Brexiteer ultras, because last week I heard that actors only lived in a bubble and they didn't know about the lives of ordinary people. Turns out that actors do not live in a bubble and are deeply connected with the lives of ordinary people. I should get my hearing checked. Or maybe it's just a female thing. We are no longer interested in the opinions of female actors. Addressing the MPs on the panel, he said, your primary objective is to preserve democracy, and whatever you may feel, you have betrayed democracy. No, wrong. They are upholding democracy. What he seems to want, like the Brexiteer ultras, is to trample over Parliament in order to give control to Parliament. They want to take control from our elected representatives in order to give control to them. Does that make sense?
No.
And besides, it's not upholding democracy if the original referendum was crooked, which it was. That's beyond dispute. Fines have been levied and paid, guilt has been admitted and proved. But the bigger criminals have got off scot-free so far, mainly because the government's too embarrassed to look into it. Embarrassed and the beneficiary of that criminality. Where did the millions that funded the Leave campaign come from? We don't know. Who sprayed the internet with the billions of fake ads posing as concerned citizens on Facebook? Russia? We don't know. The Leave side overspent by 10% and won by 3%. And that's to say nothing of the tsunami of lies that were put out to persuade people to vote against their best interests, which were so effective, those lines still get spouted out today by people that took on board the first thing they heard that chimed with their prejudices, and then closed their ears and their minds like a whale's blowhole. And that's to say nothing of the fact that one in every of the 100 or so, every one rather, of the 100 or so polls, bar about 2, taken since the referendum, remain one every time. Every single time, bar about 2. In every poll, they take them about once a week since the referendum, Remain have won almost every single one of them. Can we stop saying that Leave is the will of the people? It isn't. Leave is the will of some people who shout the loudest. It's the will of a very few well-funded men, many of whom don't even live here, who've used their wealth to direct the future of this country while they languish in tax havens abroad. We've all been conned. And Britain's heading into local and European elections with Nigel Farage's new Brexit party predicted to clean up. And that is likely for the same reason that Leave won. Leavers are single-issue obsessives. They think of nothing else because they've been promised a lottery ticket to a better life. But we just want Brexit. Remainers don't vote on only one thing, however, so their vote's going to be split among different parties. Therefore, the single-issue obsessives will win. You only need a highly motivated 30% of the electorate to win any vote. It's the same number, coincidentally, that Donald Trump won with. And, coincidentally, he was helped by the very same people that delivered Brexit. Nigel Farage said he's planning to take on the Tories and Labour in the next general election. Yeah, you go, Nige. You know, if at first you failed to become an MP and you fail at second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh attempt, just keep doing the same thing over and over. That'll work. You know, but next time you might actually get more votes than a man in a dolphin suit. Uncle Nige said he wants to run candidates for Parliament in future to stop MPs blocking Brexit, because we just want Brexit. There was a news a report from one of Uncle Nige's rallies, one of his safe space rallies. And the reporter asked some of the individuals at the front why they were so adamant and vociferous. They didn't really know, but they knew what they wanted. They didn't know why they wanted it, but they knew what they wanted. And he said, and the reporter said, well, you know, that by all accounts, there's going to be a lot of people who lose their jobs. And the guy said, I don't care, which took the reporter aback a bit. And he sort of repeated his question just to make sure that he got the right answer. He said, you don't care that a lot of people will lose their jobs? And the guy said, no. We just want Brexit, which sounds pretty unpatriotic to me. Those that wave the flag the most seem to care the least. What a bizarre and twisted world we live in.
It's indisputable. I said all that in spring 2019. It's a good job no one talks about Brexit anymore, though, eh? Haven't heard a word in ages. And that's it. If you subscribe to this podcast, you'll find the next episode gets squirted up your life as though by magic on Mondays. And don't forget the podcast that I did with Carol McGiffin, which is a right laugh. We really look forward to doing it, and we guffaw our way through about an hour. If you want to be amused, I recommend it. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which we try to solve people's problems. If you would like us to try to solve your problem, then send it to the following address: nickandcarol@global.com. That's nickandcarol@global.com. And prepare to be completely satisfied. There's also the podcast I do called The Whole Show, which is, as it sounds, the whole show with all of the ads and the news taken out, so it's much quicker to listen to. And I'll be back on the radio Friday, Saturday and Sunday night at 10. And until then, I'll be seeing you.
Bye-bye.